David, thanks. Spring election is underway. You have just about 3 hours left to cast a ballot.
You still get to cast that vote if you are waiting in line when the polls do close at 8 o'clock tonight. We are keeping an eye on some of the bigger races on the ballot. That includes, of course, the race for state Supreme Court. Judges Chris Taylor and Maria Lazar looking to fill the seat that will be vacated by retiring Justice Rebecca Bradley. Whoever wins won't swing the court away from a liberal majority, but the gap could widen.
And multiple communities voting on school referendums today. That includes Appleton, Fond du Lac, Menasha, Oconto, and Southern Door school districts, each asking for millions of dollars for various expenses like operation and maintenance costs.
Action 2 News has team coverage on this election day. We're going to start with our chief political reporter, Jason Zimmerman, tracking that turnout in the Appleton area school referendum. Jason?
Chris. The city clerk says some wards are seeing a turnout of 35 to 40% in Appleton, which is really good for a spring election, especially when it was projected that the turnout might be closer to 20% because early voting numbers were somewhat down. The clerk does believe it's a school referendum that is really behind all of this. The Appleton area school district is one of 72 districts in the state asking voters to approve funding. Appleton's would provide $60 million over the next 4 years. A past referendum would cover the district's $13 million budget deficit and reel in an extra $2 million per year to pay school counselors and social workers full time. The district says the potential consequences of a failed referendum could be reduced programs and services, plus roughly 100 positions facing elimination. A survey conducted at the end of last year indicated nearly 60% of voters would approve this referendum. However, these results came before property taxes rose by nearly 8% in Appleton, which for some voters raised affordability concerns. For a complete list of other school referendums on the ballot across Northeast Wisconsin, just go to our website, WBAY.com. Chris and Cammie, back to you.
Jason.